You have found us, the number one podcast for you. You get up every day and you get after it, bringing fitness to those around you, sometimes whether you know it or not. Kim, I've been working on some important things to talk about today. And guess what?
What?
I found some not so important things to talk about as well.
Oh, thank God.
Yes, I know. But it's about bringing fitness full circle. Physical, health, wealth, risk, spiritual, all the ways that we keep people fit, coming right up. In today's podcast, we talk about the fact that the best exercise to slow the effects of brain aging. I'm going to let you in on that. Also, got ID. If you want alcohol, tobacco, or whipped cream, you better produce it. We're going to go into that. On the topic of strange laws, my co-host and my guest are going to face off on the battle of the strangest laws. We're going to do that. And as I alluded, our special guest is Jonathan King from American Acupuncture. He's going to tell us how he keeps people fit with Chinese medicine. That's coming all right up.
So stay tuned. So Brett.
Yes, lady.
Hi. So we have an unofficial sponsor that we probably should talk about today.
We should. They would appreciate it.
They would. I'm sure that they're watching intently, waiting to be mentioned. No, they don't even probably know that we do this. But we love a local coffee shop called the Coffee Oasis. And why do we love them?
Because they have delicious coffee.
Because they have delicious coffee and food.
And food, yeah.
And they also, on top of providing those two things, which is the standard of being a coffee shop,
right?
I would say,
yeah.
They also provide sustainable housing, job training, counseling, clothes, shelter, you name it, to our local youth, both at risk and just in the community of need. So they do a lot of things with the proceeds that they get from buying their coffee and their food. But if you're not a coffee drinker, do you think there's any other ways to support them, Brett?
There are. I actually know of a few ways. Number one, they're always looking for volunteers, people to help out in the shelter, people to help out in help mentoring kids. But they also have a gala coming up.
Yes.
On October 15th.
Now, I pronounce it gala, you say gala, but either way, they have this event coming up.
I've heard it pronounced other ways too, but yeah, let's just disagree.
Galia?
Yeah, let's just disagree.
All right, let's just go into the fact that it is next month already. We're already in September. So on October 15th, you are absolutely right. They are having their annual Hope Gala? Gala.
It's the gala fundraiser, yeah.
It's the gala fundraiser on October 15th. So if you want to support them, you can obviously be a sponsor. So I would chat with our friends over at Coffee O and see how you can get involved.
Yep. And as always, when you go into Coffee Oasis, make sure you let them know that you're friends of the Full Circle podcast. That way they're going to get you a free fist bump and you're going to be part of the legendary
there's
Fitness
no
Full Circle Nation.
There's no coupon code for that, but we'll give you some bragging rights.
So where you get your coffee may not mean much to you, but it means everything to them. Coffee Oasis, restoring community through their coffee business and
compassionate youth
programs.
Boom.
Boom.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Done. Just like that. Okay, listener comments. There's actually some really good ones. We had Tony in Silver. That's Tony Lane.
I was hoping so.
He sent me the topic for the podcast about fitness. And then Sean in Ketchikan, he's also the one that said, hey, you got to check out this new law in New York.
Okay, sweet.
And then Marion Polsbo said, since when did you guys have a podcast?
So it'd be safe to say that our listener comments really put a lot of the content into today's show.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Really influenced our content today.
Ready to hit listener comments?
Yeah.
Okay. So listener comments keep pouring in, especially after we gave away that t-shirt last week.
Oh yeah.
Yes, for the comments. So we got Tony in Silverdale. He said, here is a topic for your podcast. And then he forwarded me a topic for the podcast. And it was fantastic. And you know what? I'm doing it on the podcast.
I love that.
I know. And just to also brag about our global reach that we have with Fitness Full Circle, Sean from Ketchikan, that's Alaska,
Whoa.
By the way. He said, you got to check out this new law in New York.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, you know what? We have somebody coming on the show from New York. This will be great to explore.
Perfect timing.
And so Sean, thank you for that. And Mary in Paulsbo, I love this one. She said, "Since when did you guys have a podcast?" I love it. I love it.
Well, since about 9 months ago.
Yeah. So now she is educated. She has not committed to being a listener quite yet, but she does. She is aware that this is the 15th podcast in the series. So this
Mary,
is
I'm going to earn your listenership.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think she was probably just getting her name in the hat for the next t-shirt drawing that we do.
Well, good.
But just like everyone that drops in a comment, you get entered in for the Fitness Full Circle Nice t-shirt. And so keep those comments coming. We love it. You can join the glorious ranks of Pam, of Valerie, and of Courtney that are sporting these t-shirts all around town. And they are by far envied by many.
Of course.
Yeah.
They're super soft too.
From Latin. Okay, there we go. All right, in important news, Kim, we have a study coming from the United States this time. All the other ones have been UK studies. We've got a United States study.
I'm so proud of you.
Wake Forest University. They did this massive study on sedentary older adults, so 75 and older.
Okay.
They took in about 300 adults to find out what the best exercise is to slow cognitive decline in older adults. So the effects of memory loss and things like that. And it was, in fact, exercise, movement.
Get moving.
Movement. Yeah. So they did this huge study on adults, like I say, 75 and older, to figure out what the effect of, from a controlled group, from the, what we call placebo group, and from a regular group. And so they split this group into two. They did resistance training, kind of a high intensity interval training.
Sure.
And then they did a stretch training, where they basically just got out and they stretched. And what they found is that the MCI, or the mild cognitive impairment, the effects, as we age or as we move towards, kind of more of a moderate and, even in dementia and Alzheimer's, that this movement that they were doing significantly slowed, stopped, or reversed the cognitive decline.
To reverse.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And so the great thing about this is this kind of falls into that category that we already knew, or we already assumed, or we already had a hypothesis on.
Is it move it or lose it?
Yeah, move it or lose it. Exactly. But this is hardcore data that is showing that movement is the key.
Wow.
So I thought that was really interesting. There's another piece of this puzzle, though, to tell both of you, is that one of the aspects of it was that they decided to do it with a personal trainer. Now, I say that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I know a personal trainer who specializes in older adults. Myself. But the cool part was that when added with a social piece, when you take the exercise compiled with the social piece, that cognitive decline was less significant.
So social piece, like having the trainer with them.
Yeah. Or going out and doing group classes,
like a class setting.
Just moving away from that sedentary lifestyle of that sofa and engaging.
Well, humans are meant for connections.
Yeah.
So rather than sitting at home watching your TV by yourself in your retirement, you should join some of these classes, have a trainer, just be moving.
Yeah, exactly. And Dr. Laura Baker from Wake Forest, and that's what she said. She noted that both exercise groups received equal amounts of weekly socialization, which also may have contributed to the apparent protective effects on the brain.
I love it.
So I thought that was super interesting. So to quote this, the take-home message is that an increased amount of either low intensity or high intensity exercise, 120 to 150 minutes per week for 12 months, may slow cognitive decline in sedentary adults with MCI.
Awesome.
Yep.
Pretty fascinating.
That was pretty awesome, right? But I'm going to get on a soapbox real quick, because that's what I'm going to do here.
Oh, I thought you lived up there.
She also, I do. But sometimes you kick it out.
Okay.
What's critical is that this regular exercise must be supported in older patients with MCI. It must be supervised.
Oh.
There has to be some social component. So basically, it's not saying, hey, if you're a sedentary 75-year-old, just jump up and start doing jumping jacks. Get out there, seek some help, seek some advice from a professional, and get into a fitness program. And we can help to ward off those things like Alzheimer's and dementia.
Okay.
Pretty neat, huh?
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I think that
Movement is key.
Movement is key. Yeah, you and I had a big conversation about that. Yeah, absolutely.
So Brett, I
Yeah.
would love to hear some not so important news now.
Well, again, like we alluded, this not so important news comes all the way from Ketchikan, Alaska, via a listener comment who said, "Hey, you got to check this thing out." Yeah. So anyway, the story is in New York, you can now be carded to buy not only alcohol and cigarettes, but evidently whipped cream as well.
Whipped cream.
Whipped cream, yeah. A state law went into effect November 2021. So we're getting on this a little bit late.
Okay.
An attempt to whip the whippets that ye kids have been doing with the CO2 cartridges that are inside there. They are now putting them so that you have to be 21 in order to do that.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yep. So the law restricted the sale of whipped cartridges and therefore whipped cream to people above the age of 21. Violations can result in a $250 fine on the first offense and $500 fine on each of the subsequent offenses.
I have to imagine that this has increased the sales for Cool Whip, which is sold in a container without the CO2.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you're at the store in New York, you're just going to be like, I don't have time to stop it. I forgot my ID. I'm just going to buy some Cool Whip to go with mine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the regular spoonful kind.
Yeah.
As he tells me this, I'm like, okay, so now you go in and you have the cognac behind the glass. You have the cognac and you have the Cuban cigars behind the glass, and then the can of Ready Whip.
Yes,
right?
the Ready Whip's right there.
So, yeah.
That's
so you
insane.
gotta go get a salesperson to go unlock the glass case so that you can get the whipped cream out of there. Anyway, whippets is a big deal in New York. I thought evidently, sadly, young people buy it and inhale it to get high because they mistakenly believe it's a safe substance. So just like lawmakers do, they make a law which is gonna eliminate easy access to it, thus forcing black market whipped cream.
Seriously,
so, yeah, you're gonna
that's coming up next.
Black market
That's
some whipped cream here. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, I thought that was crazy. I especially like that because our guest is from New York. So yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But that's also going to lead me to the pop culture pop quiz. So yeah. So what we're going to do with the pop culture pop quiz is just to let you know, Jonathan, all of our guests have to face off against Kim in a trivial type of game. Trivial meaning it doesn't really mean
It doesn't really matter.
but it does. It's very high stakes, Jonathan. In order to pass on to the whole point while you got here was to tell us about yourself. You've got to get at least second place from facing off Kim.
Yes.
Today's subject is going to be ridiculous state laws. Now, I'm not saying that the New York state law is ridiculous. I'm just merely stating that you need to be 21 to buy whipped cream. But I pulled out some other state laws that I thought were really funny. Okay. So what I'm going to give you is I'm going to give you the context of the state law, and you're going to tell me A, B, or C, which one of them is correct.
Are you going to go back and forth from me to Jonathan, or are you going to have us chime in? I'm just going to go back and forth and see how you do. See how you do with it. If you know the answer and it's not your turn, hey, feel free to chime in. But again, it's A, B, or C, so you're going to have a 33% chance. I was going to say we need to get some buzzers here. So no, we're just gonna go. We'll just go with Kim first, and then Jonathan, you'll get the second one. All right. Okay, is everybody ready? Yes, sir. Sure. In California, it is illegal to do this to a frog who dies in a frog jumping contest. Is it illegal to bronze it? Is it illegal to eat it? Or is it legal to bury it? Ooh. Wow. I'm going to say eat it. I chimed in a little too early there. I was going to go with bury it. Well, you should have gone with what he said, because it is in fact eat it. They put this law into place in 1950 because when the frog would die in this frog jumping contest, the spectators would run out and grab the frog and take it home to eat it. I have never heard of a frog jumping contest. Like they still do this on a state level. It's still a big thing in the city in California. The frog jumping contest. Wow. So you're out on that one. To Jonathan. Wow, that's crazy. No eating the contestants, apparently. Yeah, apparently. Yeah. I'm gonna steal your question now. Yeah, you should jump out in front of it.
Okay, we ready?
Sure.
In the state of Missouri, the Show Me State, you can travel with a bear in your vehicle as long as well, you can't because it's not only illegal but unsafe. 2, the bear needs to be caged. Or 3, the bear needs to be seatbelted.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go with 3, please.
The answer is it has to be in a cage.
Definitely cage.
Yeah.
The bear has to be in a cage.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So if you're in the state of Missouri, it's perfectly okay to drive with a vicious bear in there as long as it's in a cage.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Just so you know, in case you're passing through.
How many bears are hitchhiking over in Missouri?
Yeah.
Well, high stakes driving.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, this one is going to go to this is to you, Jonathan.
Right.
Possession of this organic substance is prohibited at night in New Hampshire. Is it seaweed? Is it pine cones? Or is it maple syrup?
Ooh, at night. That's a great question.
Yeah.
I'm going to say seaweed.
It is. It's actually seaweed. It's considered to be harvesting fish or fish-like products is illegal in New Hampshire at night.
This is not fair. He's very smart.
That's what we got to stop getting medical professionals.
I know what's going on here.
Yeah, we need more average Joes to come in here.
Oh my goodness.
All right, Cam, this is yours.
Okay.
Cutting down a cactus in Arizona carries what maximum punishment? A $500 fine and 1-year probation. B, $5,000 fine, 3 days in jail, and 200 hours of horticulture community service. Or C, 25 years in prison.
I'm going to go with B, the $5,000 fine and the horticulture thing.
No, it actually carries the same sentence as murder.
25 years in prison
years
for cutting a
down
cactus
cactuses in Arizona.
Stop
Yeah,
it.
no, seriously.
Bring
Seriously.
water.
It's a national tree or something.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. It's
That's
crazy.
So if you don't know your laws and you just buy a property in Arizona and decide to cut down that cactus because you don't like it.
You're going away from murdering cacti.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. In the slammer. Okay.
That's nuts.
This one's going back to Jonathan. Jonathan, this is the only state in the 50 states that specifically prohibits the sale of eyeballs. Is it Hawaii, Texas, or Kentucky?
Ooh. It's a great question. I'm going to say Texas.
He's right with Texas. In Texas,
There'll be some kind of game,
they-
wild game thing going
they're
on here.
considered delicacies in Texas. So they prohibit specifically the sale of eyeballs.
Wow.
So
Wow.
eyeball soup, evidently.
That is funny.
Okay.
Jeez Louise.
All right, this one's coming to you, Kim. This is a goodie right here.
Mm.
In Idaho, cannibalism is legal as long as you did not kill the person. It was your only means of survival, or you identify as a zombie.
Oh my gosh. You know, common sense tells me B, but today's world, you can identify as a toaster if you want to. So I guess I'm gonna go with C. You identify as a zombie.
It's not. It's if it's your only means of survival, cannibalism is legal
that makes no sense.
as long as you did not do the killing.
Okay.
So kind of a B and C.
I was gonna say it's kind of a combination there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, otherwise, they have a hardcore stance on cannibalism.
Man, oh man. You know, my husband and I have had this conversation. I've told him, he's always said, like, well, if we're in a survival situation, like, you have my permission to eat me. And I'm like, you do not have my permission to eat me. I don't care. You will die with me.
Yeah, you need consent. In the state of Washington, you need consent.
Do not eat me.
Okay, Jonathan, this is coming at you. Which of these weapons is legal in Alabama? So 2 of these are illegal. 1 of them is illegal. Which of these weapons is legal in Alabama?
Alabama, all right.
A cane that doubles as a rifle or shotgun, a slingshot, or a long-range automatic rifle?
I'm going to go ahead and say the cane that doubles over as a shotgun.
Mhm.
No, that is That is
Is that-
illegal.
That's illegal.
And so is the slingshot,
Okay.
but the long range automatic rifle is not. So,
So the slingshot's
yeah,
illegal.
yeah. Do not conceal a slingshot
Oh, my
when you're in
goodness.
Alabama, right?
That's crazy.
They take a hardcore stance there.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't mess around.
Oh my
I
goodness.
see that coming.
Okay. All right, Kim. The last one is for you.
Okay.
You can pull this out if
I
you
can
get
get on the scoreboard
this
here.
one and the next 3 correct.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Which of these is not against the law in the state of Washington? So which one of these is
Washington?
not against the law in our home state
Okay.
of Washington, which is not against the law? Harassing Bigfoot, operating a vehicle without a litter bag inside, driving with flip-flops, which is not against the law.
Driving with flip-flops is
You-
not against the law.
You're correct. Driving with flip-flops. Harassing Bigfoot is definitely, and any other undiscovered species.
Well, I drove here in flip-flops today, so I was just did my answer because I was really hopeful that I did not break the law this morning.
So yeah, I thought that was really interesting that the law is written that you cannot harass a Sasquatch
Don't do that.
or any other undiscovered species.
So stop hunting them.
Yeah, so yeah,
Let
exactly.
them live in peace.
Yeah, so if you're out going for a hike and you come across a Smurf, you cannot
Do not harass that
do not
Smurf.
harass the
Curious,
Smurf.
what's the precedent law that established this no
Right?
harassment of Sasquatch? Where's the
Like
precedent?
a
That's,
really
that's
hairy
hilarious.
person was camping and they were like, "Yeah, that's a Sasquatch," and started to harass them.
Well, I think as we do more urban expansion, we're pushing
Yep.
into Bigfoot's home a little bit more. So they're really worried about,
Yeah.
inevitably, running Bigfoot into a corner there. I'm not really sure. But anyway, after adding this all up, this was fantastic.
Yeah, I think
Um,
I've been taking off my winner's circle here.
Yeah, you get the silver medal.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank goodness.
And so according to my calculations, Jonathan gets to move on to the whole point for why he's here, which is to talk to us about Chinese medicine.
Absolutely. So I have the privilege to introduce you today, Jonathan,
Okay.
which is really fun because you gave a very fantastic bio for me to go through here. And it was so fascinating. You are legitimately a fascinating person.
Well, thank you.
So today we have Jonathan King with American Acupuncture. His occupation, of course, is acupuncture and Eastern medicine. And he's originally from Bronx, New York,
That's right.
which I love. He is a husband and a father of 5 beautiful children, which is actually the catalyst of why you even were exposed to your career
That's right.
in Chinese medicine.
That's right.
So stinking cool. So you were in the army. Thank you for serving our country.
Thank you.
On New Year's Eve of all days in 2011, you learned that you guys were going to be having your first child.
Mhm.
And it was at that moment that you declared that you would be the person to deliver your children into this
That is
world.
correct.
Wow.
Sure did.
And so you feverishly researched how to do that safely and knowledgeably, which I'm sure your wife appreciated.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah. Which began a passion for you in medicine, of course. And I think it's very interesting that it took your pregnant wife suffering from low back pain, which right now, as being 9 months pregnant, I can really relate. That you decided she decided to seek the care of a trained acupuncturist. And because you also had back pain, you were very skeptical
Mhm.
and you wanted to try it out yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
And so this kind of led into your new passion of acupuncture, and you enrolled yourself into the Atlantic Institute of Oriental Medicine in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and obtained a master's degree in traditional Oriental medicine and a bachelor's degree in health science. No wonder you whooped me today in our game. You're a very smart person, and so just super cool. I just think that we're gonna learn so much from you today.
Thank you for having me.
We're really happy to have you. And I don't really want to take up much more time except for the fact that in your spare time you do love to continue to learn, spend time with your family, and ride your ATV.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of ATV do you have?
Oh, I've got a little Can-Am Outlander, just a little simple
Yeah.
workhorse that I like to
So fun.
just get on the property. That's fun.
I love it. I love it. Well, welcome, Jonathan. We are excited to have you today.
Thank you.
And
Excited to be here.
yes, Brett.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, what we want to know is what you do to keep your clients fit with Eastern medicine. You know, our podcast is about how we all keep people fit in our own right. And so I am much like what you said in your bio. You're a part curiosity and part skepticism. And so so I just kind of want you to talk us through this curiosity and skepticism of how you keep your clients fit.
Well, it's a dynamic question. Again, I did get into the system of medicine, curious and skeptical. I was med boarded from the Army. I hurt my back on a jump when I was active duty. Nothing ever really seemed to fix it. When my quite pregnant wife went to get some acupuncture, I was being a bit micromanaging when I decided I wanted to tag along, curious and skeptical. And when we sat together, I showed her where my back was hurting. Within moments, I felt that back pain dissipate, and I was taken back. I said, "How? I have to know how you did that." I was medically separated from the military. I know a lot of my battle buddies were medically separated from the military as well. Why is this not a thing? You were able to knock my pain out without any preconceived anticipation that I would even receive any help. I didn't think she was going to help me, frankly, and to have a very tangible discomfort just disappear. You know, of course, it took a course of therapy to resolve. However, to have symptomatic relief immediately was such a profound experience for me. So it really led me down the road of how do I learn how to do that? And I said, how did you do that? She said, you have to understand how Chinese medicine works if you want to understand how I did that. I said, sold. I'm going to learn how Chinese medicine works. And I started researching the schools immediately. And I happened to be fortunate enough to get into the master's program that began 2 weeks later.
Wow.
And so it rolled right into the path that I was on. And it just was completely unexpected, but it was a real blessing. So I'm very fortunate to be here.
I can only imagine how busy you were with a pregnant wife, a new child, and the master's program.
quite busy. You know, and I have 5, and there's 17 months between 1 and 2, and 15 months between 3 and 4.
Okay, wow.
And excuse me, 2 and 3. And so there's it was pretty busy time for us, but yeah, great family support. So.
Well, and the other thing I really liked about your bio is this woman is ready to pop at any time, and so basically a ticking time bomb. So I'm always worried. So I'm actually feeling really confident now that you've delivered 5 children.
That's
That
right.
if something does happen here on Labor Day, that we have a qualified professional to do that. So I'm feeling really good about that. So let's talk about some of the things you do, because a lot of the stuff that you do is mysterious, right? So walk me through a couple of the things that you do to help alleviate pain with your clients, or to create a healthier environment for them. What are some of those things that you can do?
So Eastern medicine is a complete medical system. It happens to be a system of medicine that people in our country and culture, we don't know we want it, we don't know we need it, and we don't know what it's typically good for. It's really great for most things chronic preventative, not so good at trauma and crisis. There are some aspects that do excel in that area, but this is not our wheelhouse. So most chronic preventative issues are really in the wheelhouse of Eastern medicine. And with that said, that is a multi-dynamic conversation piece, because a lot of folks are walking around not feeling sick, but they're not feeling healthy either, or they're not tripping any of the major red flags with their general practitioners, but they're not feeling themselves. And so a lot of what I do is, in essence, it's a longevity science. It's a vitality system of medicine that's really predicated on the concept of maintaining adequate circulation through the body. So it really ties into what we were discussing earlier with movement, and keeping circulation moving. And so a lot of what I do is to help reestablish proper circulation throughout the body via various means, whether that's through acupuncture or through complex herbalism. And there's various exercises and things that also fall into the spectrum. But there's quite a dynamic toolbox there available to us in Chinese medicine.
So one of those is obviously acupuncture, right? That's something, that's a science that you guys, where you poke somebody with a bunch of needles. You know, let me ask something just ignorant. Does it hurt?
It's a great question. There's a lot of techniques that can be employed to make it painless, rather relatively speaking. I think, of a personal opinion, I think you should feel it. It's important that you feel it because we're accessing the nervous system. And so there's a lot of points that I would stimulate that I want you to feel. It should never hurt per se. Some of them feel pinchy, some feel zappy, some of them you won't feel at all. Some are heavy and throbby. The point is that they all should become comfortable. So it should never be a test of endurance, right? You never should have
Right.
needles in, and now it's this sudden test of endurance to see how long can we keep them in, right? They should all get comfortable immediately. So on the short end, yes, some of them are a little pinchy and a little bit painful, but they should resolve really quickly, and you should be really comfortable enough to, in fact, take a nap, right? So
Perfect. So it's not laying on a bed of nails like I'd assume.
Correct.
Okay, sure. And so we were also talking, before the show, we had a bit of a conversation about that. And we were also talking about something that was really kind of unique and, a little mesmerizing to me. But you're talking about something related to being able to know something about somebody by reading their pulse. Not the tarot lady that reads your palm,
That's right.
but reading the pulse. Can you walk us through what that looks like?
Yeah, for sure. So it is a real tangible exploration of the radial artery, understanding that I want to assess changes in the circulation of the torso. Obviously, we have all of our major organs in that torso. And so I want to get an idea of how is blood moving through each and every organ. It's very difficult to do that, obviously, because everything is behind the wall, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
I can't feel, say, your heart, right? It's behind the sternum. However, I can feel the plumbing coming right off of that pump right here at the radial artery. And so by understanding where is the artery supposed to be felt relative to where it is felt, and what is the quality of the apex of the artery, gives you a lot of detail about the physiological condition of the upper, middle, and lower portions of the torso, which allow you to extrapolate details. And so when you understand that, say, blood is moving sluggishly through, say, a fatty or liver, you can extrapolate what types of signs and symptoms arise when a person has, say, a fattier liver, right? And so you can tell in real time, really quickly, what's the general physiology of each and every person you're working with, so that you can gain the context necessary to take their diagnoses and understand it from a root perspective, rather than just attacking the symptom, which is simple, right?
How long does a pulse scan? What did we call it? We called it medical pulse diagnostic.
Correct.
How long does that take? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
Oh,
you
no,
off.
no, it's quite all right. It really takes a matter of moments. It really depends on the provider. I like to take a little bit of time to kind of go through it, but not under 5 minutes, typically. Within moments, as soon as you, with the repetitive experience, you gain a real tactile sensitivity to the feeling of the radial artery. And so really quickly, in a matter of seconds, you can tell a lot about a person if you know what to look for. So I'd say within 5 minutes, you have a pretty good rundown of what's the physiological environment that this patient exists in, so that I can then apply whatever it is that is they're complaining about. I can put that in context.
Oh, perfect. So could you do one here during the show?
I can.
Is that possible?
Wow.
Fantastic. I have a candidate for you. But dude, if you check her pulse and you tell me that she's pregnant, I'm
I'm quite obviously pregnant. For those of you listening to the podcast.
Kim,
Which is always fun and fascinating to work with pregnant pulses, because of course you have a little bit more blood volume, and so it really changes the dynamic of the environment just a bit, and so it gives an interesting viewpoint. It was pretty fascinating. Let me take a look.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Just get a little bit.
Okay, so this one?
With your right arm.
Okay.
And so understanding that the artery here is deeper than it is here, it comes up on this natural incline. So when you're looking for the artery, you're looking for where is the artery felt. If it's too high, this means something, right? If if a person's radial artery is way too deep, it's suggestive of water retention or stagnant blood circulation. So too deep means something. What is the quality of the pulse when you get there? Is it a convex shape? Is it concave? Is it really thin, or is it really wide? Does it pound under my fingertips? Does it break away with a little bit of pressure? All of that information means something, and understanding where the radial artery is relative to where it should be gives that diagnostic framework. So you have a little bit of poor circulation through the sinuses, not too shabby, a little bit of inflammation, but all in all, pretty okay, susceptible to airborne allergens. I'd have some questions about your thyroid panel. It might be a little bit lower on the normal spectrum.
Oh my gosh, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism
Mm-hmm.
last year.
You definitely do a little bit of worrying. Your digestion's a little weak, which creates ruminating brainwave activity, which is conducive with worry. The people like this tend to worry a bit. Also not uncommon to hold on to a little water there. I see why you're reflexive. You have the propensity for it. I would love to see your pulse after you're pregnant because you do have something kind of obstruct, right? So that makes sense. But I would suspect with this pulse that you may have a propensity for reflux despite being pregnant. You have a little bit of soft tissue damage in your shoulder.
And obviously, this is a service that you provide through your
Amazing.
business.
Yep.
What does this service cost? If somebody just comes in and says, "Hey, just give me a scan real quick."
That would be in the context of a consultation.
Okay.
Consultations are normally $150. It really depends on what it is you're walking in for. Regardless, I'm going to want to take a look at your pulse because whether you're walking with knee pain or anxiety, I want to understand what's the physiological context that anxiety existed or your knee pain existed. So I'm always going to check a person's pulse when they're in a consultation for sure.
Perfect. So his assessment, Kim. I mean, give me a rundown of what you think. What's instinctively, what are you thinking in your mind?
I'm thinking he's a magician. No, it was spot on. I mean, everything. The acid reflux, the worrying, the thyroid being low. I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. I take medication for it now. Everything.
So one of the things that we also like to do is, you've talked about how you keep your clients fit. What do you have some suggestions to our vast listeners from all around the country? Obviously, what they can do to help keep themselves fit.
I think as far as self-care in this regard, really, piggybacking on what we were talking about earlier, really is movement, right? It really matters not how rusty the gait is, so long as the gait moves, right? And so we really maintaining movement. A lot of, I think the ancient Chinese observations in human anatomy and physiology provided the insight necessary to understand to maintain vitality. We need to keep blood, oxygen, and nutrients flowing endlessly and ceaselessly through our network of blood vessels. And how do you do that? Through movement, really. You have your pump, but we have movement. And those are the only real two tools we really have at our disposal to continuously provide movement to the body. And so circulation through the body. And so movement really is, I think, the biggest tool a person has in their own disposal, whether that's, brisk walking or swimming, not long distance running, cross country, hiking, really just getting out and moving, nice brisk walk, nice decent swim, nothing too strenuous, just enough to get circulation moving and breathing, good breath work.
You're singing my song.
Right.
We're going to be really good friends after this. I can tell. So what we like to do with all of our guests is just to kind of in a fun way ask you, if you wrote an autobiography, what would that autobiography be titled?
It's a good question. I started jotting down notes about my life because I've been told many a time, you should write a book. You should write a book. And I'm not necessarily interested in writing the autobiography yet because I'm still going. I've got so much more chapters to include. But if I were to title it today, it would be King's Stories. King's Stories. My last name is King. And so being prior military, I'm just used to being called by my last name. And I have quite the collection of stories. And so rather than writing just an autobiography, I've been jotting down stories from the beginning up until now. And so It's a collection of stories that hopefully my children will read one day, but King Stories.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love that. So my mom's maiden name is King. So I was like, are we related? But she was from California. So like the opposite ends of the spectrum. Okay, so just to throw you a curveball, if that autobiography of King's Story was turned into a motion picture, which actor would play you?
Ooh, that is a great question. Hopefully we'd have a couple good ones really vying for the position here. Wow. I honestly, I'm not sure.
Yeah?
I don't have a good answer for that.
Do you have a favorite actor?
I'm almost leaning towards a Tom Hanks type, but
fun.
Very younger Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
I can dig that.
Uh-huh.
I get behind that. Sure. That's awesome. That's
It's a good
awesome.
question, though. I'm not
Uh-huh.
sure who I would have play me. I would hope that a good couple of them are vying for the part, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm almost thinking like a Hugh Jackman.
Ooh.
I'm kind of leaning Hugh Jackman style. Yeah.
I can see Bradley Cooper. He's done some serious stuff.
Yeah, there you go. All
Yeah.
top shelf guys.
Mm-hmm.
So fantastic job. You know, your interview was absolutely tremendous. We're not done yet. We still got to run you through the grinder.
All right.
Okay. And so the grinder basically is a series of would you rather questions.
Okay.
That we're going to pull from either your bio, we're going to pull from your work experience, from the podcast, or just whatever the hell we feel like. Okay. And so are you ready for your grinder?
I'm ready.
So
Shuffling part out.
for the first question, I'll just jump in since he's shuffling paperwork over there. Being that you're from the Bronx, I would assume I know your answer on this, but I'm very curious as to what it is. So tell me, is it the Yankees or the Mets?
Ooh, it's Yankees, of course.
Of course, that's
It's
what
gotta
I
be,
figured you'd
you
say.
know?
Yeah.
But the Mets hold a special place also,
Okay, good.
you know, but no, it is absolutely the New York Yankees.
All right.
Anything besides the Yankees would be blasphemy.
That's
Yeah, for
exactly
sure.
right.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, when we asked you in your bio what your favorite television shows were, you had remarkably the Game of Thrones or Animaniacs, right?
I love it.
Buddy, that is two sides of the spectrum. So I want to ask you this. What character are you most like? Would you say you're a Jon Snow or a Yakko Warner?
Oh, that's great. I'm more leaning on the Jon Snow side, but you know, we kind of go either way.
Yeah.
We can go either way.
I figured as I was kind of analyzing, I said, you know what, one of them is the wife and me show, and the other
Yeah.
one is the me and the 5 kids show.
Yeah.
And so that was just such a unique question.
All right. So food. I'm always thinking about food. If you were to pick a meal that you would rather have more often, or even right now, would you go Chinese food or burger and fries?
Ooh. If we're talking right now, probably burger and fries, you know.
Okay.
There's yeah, probably burger and fries. Some good old meat, you know,
Yeah.
some good fatty meat.
Can't
and,
go wrong there.
It was just a good contrast of Eastern medicine versus Western medicine, Eastern food versus Western food. So we just wanted to throw that in there. Well, fantastic. You did that one amazingly. Now that brings us to the fit or the flop.
Okay.
And that's just a bunch of occupational specific show related topics that you answer fit if it's a good idea, or flop if it's not such a good idea.
All right.
So the first one is that supplements are supplements. And medicine man, I can get that same thing at GNC.
That's right. I'm going to say supplements, a bit of a flop. There's some usefulness, but oftentimes, again, a lot of us are not quite sick, but we're not feeling healthy either. And so we'll gravitate towards supplements, which are useful, but they're a good adjunct. I view them as a great way to maintain benefit after I've helped a patient do a lot of the heavier lifting and getting themselves to the goals that they want to be at, and then maybe maintaining that benefit with some of the supplements. The challenge with supplements is that oftentimes there are herbal strategies built into them, which it really takes away from the component of individual specificity. And when you create a supplement, you have to make it appeal to a broad audience. And because of that, you will lose the individual specificity that I'm capable of providing. And so for me, with my patient pool, I'm usually, I'm always going through their supplement regimen and letting them know what I think can stay, what can go. Oftentimes I think they're just expensive pills, just an expensive product,
Fair enough.
All right, along the same lines, but a little bit different. Prescription medication to treat chronic diseases.
I'm going to little half and half, because I am a huge component of integrative care. A lot of what I do is placed into the alternative spectrum, but I don't think that it is alternative, it is integrative. And so when it comes to pharmaceuticals, it's a matter of understanding when, where, and how do we use them, and what is the exit strategy, what is the end game. And so I think of those as the bucket under the leaky roof.
Okay.
There's many instances where it is imperative we get the water off the floor now. Get that pharmaceutical on board and get that bucket under the leaky roof. But there's a lot that can be applied after that is done to fix the roof to get rid of those buckets.
I love that analogy.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. You know, high blood pressure medication, that's fine. Let's keep the client from stroking out.
Exactly.
But then in the meantime, let's figure out how we can get them off that blood pressure medication and do that.
Correct.
Naturally.
There has to be an exit strategy with most things. And unfortunately, in conventional medicine, there's just not many exit strategies built in.
Sure. The most difficult of the fit or the flop on this one is driving around with a bear in your vehicle, caged or not. Is that a fit or a flop?
I'm going to say it's fit. That's pretty high stakes driving there. So if you're successful, big boom to your adrenal function. No, definite flop.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Just a great way to increase your heart rate.
Keep that bear out of my car.
Yeah. Well, that was tremendous, Jonathan. What a phenomenal show. I mean, it was great to have you on. I was really excited about that. You know, you presented some very compelling things. If our listeners do want to get a hold of you, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you, Jonathan?
You know, you can go on my website, AmericanAcupuncture.net, or you can reach out to me directly, 360-837-5400. That would be the best way to get a hold of me. You can also reach me via email, JonathanKing@AmericanAcupuncture.net. And that would be the best way to reach out.
Fantastic. And that information that he just gave you, I'm going to drop that into the description as well, so you'll be able to find him. Just really tremendous, and really thank you for helping introduce us into this world of Eastern medicine, Chinese medicine, which again, it's very curious and skeptical.
Yeah, and I wish that I knew you when I was going through everything before my thyroid was diagnosed, because you figured that out in like a minute.
Yeah, it's
that was wild.
For sure. And thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to share some of this longevity science with you guys. There's so much to cover. And so I hope I get the opportunity to come back and share some more information with you guys in the future.
That's terrific.
Awesome.
Well, that's a great job. And then unfortunately, this is the final episode with Kim until after the baby and until she comes back. So I'm going to be flying solo. So in the next episode, we're going to have a guy named Josiah from Lucidity Media Group. He's going to come in and talk about how he keeps people fit through video, the phenomenal work that he does with nonprofits, and really just helping to tell people's story on camera. As always, leave us a comment and get entered in for a free t-shirt, just like the 3 that we've already had. Everybody, thank you so much. Check out my friend, Jonathan King. We appreciate everyone. Yeah. Make it a great day, right, Kim?
Yeah, make it a great day. Get out there, get moving.
Thanks, everybody.